NBA champ Antoine Walker. Twan, good morning. We're talking about the ever-evolving Ben Simmons situation slash saga slash drama saga in Philly. I made that last one up just for effect. The beleaguered superstar was at Sixers practice yesterday. I mean, his body was there. I'm not sure his mind was there. He had what looked like, I don't know, maybe his phone in his pocket, maybe a juice, maybe a monitor. Something was in his pocket during practice. Can't have that. Reportedly didn't take part in the team huddle. Can't do that. Antoine, this situation, it has a new twist seemingly every single day. Do you think it's salvageable at this point between Ben Simmons and the Sixers?
No, I don't think it is. I think when you look at this situation, and it's disappointing because I really like Ben as a player, and I believe he could be very special. He just has to get over the phobia of shooting a basketball. But the problem with Ben is he's got to understand when he decided to come back, one, the players are not going to be on his side. As obviously you can see in practice with guys not communicating and not talking to him. They're not going to take his side because they're upset that he did not want to fight through this and come play with them, and said he didn't want to be in Philly no more. So those guys take that very personal. They wanted to come out and see him. They basically practically were willing to put their egos aside to invite Ben back, and he kind of turned those guys away. And then the other part to that is I blame the Sixers. You got a guy, you just say you want to bring him in. You keep saying publicly that you want to be a part of the team. First of all, you got to establish some discipline. He has the LSU shirt on. Everybody else has Philly gear on. To me, that already starts a problem. That's the first thing about practice right there. Why do he have the LSU shirt on and not a Philly shirt on? That would bother me right off the bat. When you look around, you look at this practice that he has that on. I don't think that's a good presence. You can see the lackluster effort. I'm not sure how hard they're going, but it doesn't look like he's very interested and engaging into the team. And then not getting in a huddle is just the ice cream on the cake and let you know that he doesn't really want to be there. But Ben has to understand this. This is the last thing I'll say about it. I played in sports town in Boston, where the fans follow everything. They're very much into everything that the team is doing. They support you 110%. Philly fans are rough. They're very difficult. And when they know that you don't want to be there, they can make it very difficult and tough for Ben on and off the court. And that's what he's setting himself up for. And it's going to be very difficult for him to live and be happy there. So it's a bad situation on both ends of the floor. I think Philly's just going to have to make a decision. I think they got the gun too high for everybody else to put the gun into everybody's head for him. You're going to have to trade this guy and let him move on. It's just not going to work.
I hear you, Twan, and I do think at the end of the day he gets moved at some point. But to answer Jenna's question, is it salvageable? It is salvageable. Again, I don't think it'll end up that way, but it is salvageable. And here's why. Because Ben Simmons, at the end of the day, wants to play basketball. And the Philadelphia 76ers have him locked up for the next 4 years. All right, if Daryl Morey really wants to play hardball, and he has to this point, and say, I am absolutely not trading Ben Simmons no matter how long it takes without getting fair or equal value, then Ben Simmons is going to have to come aboard and start playing ball. I mean, there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Is he going to ruin his career for the next few years because of this? I'm just saying they have the leverage. And we didn't think Ben would even be in camp, remember? We didn't think Ben would, if he got to camp, we thought he'd have fake an injury. If he didn't fake an injury, we thought he wouldn't play in games. Now, that still remains to be seen, but clearly he's practicing as if he's going to eventually play in some games. So I just think that if Philly wants to play hardball, Ben is going to have to eventually come aboard. I think what needs to happen is Doc Rivers needs to sit down with Ben face to face and say, look, I get it. You won out. I understand it. I was a player too. All right. But we're getting offers for you, and they're not very good. All right? And we are not going to trade you in a bad trade. So the only way, Ben, if you really want out of here, you've got to go out there and play your best and even show a good attitude to up your trade value. Nick, he's not James Harden. Harden could go ahead and lollygag and play poorly, and everybody knew, he's just doing that in Houston because he wants out. We know his track record. That's not the case with Ben Simmons. There are guys I've talked to in front offices who are like, they wonder, will the mental block that he suffered last year in the playoffs, is that gone? Will that just vanish once he leaves Philly? We saw Markelle Fultz still has that mental block. He's just getting over it in Orlando. Yep. So there are questions about Ben that he can only answer on the court, even if he wants to up his trade value, Nick.
That's true. But what's also true is he is far and away the best player that is currently available to be traded for. If you're a team that is trying to improve your team, or a team whose star player at some point wants out and you want to start rebuilding, Philly is going to be your first call, because he is the best guy, just like Harden was, by an enormous margin that was available. And now he's not James Harden. There's no question. I'm not comparing them, except for the fact that last year the best guy who was available was Harden. This year it's Ben. Now at some point Dame could come available, and that trumps it by a million miles. Or Bradley Beal could come available, and Beal has more value across the league than Simmons. But because of his age and his contract, he does have more value than his play, certainly in the playoffs, would otherwise give him. But Wilds, I guess I feel differently than Antoine and Broussard in this regard. I think it's already been salvaged. He's there.
I agree.
Did anybody think that when he showed up, he was going to be like, Sixer for life, baby, let's go? No, he's there. And when the games start, he will try. Now, will he be getting floor burns like he's a scrappy Duke point guard? Probably not. But I do think he's going to be a good player. It's very rare that guys, it's very rare, and I hate to use this comp because he's such a great guy and he's a friend of yours. But the reason what Vince did at the very end of the time in Toronto sticks out is because it's rare. It's guys usually don't do it to that level. And so I think that he knows. And the other thing he has going for him, Wilds, is this. Philly wants to trade him. It's not a situation where they're like, no, we want to bring you back into the fold to keep you for 4 years. They know Ben and Embiid are an awkward fit and always have been. They're just waiting. So I don't think it's salvageable like he's going to finish his contract there. I don't think he's going to finish the year there. They just needed to get him back in the building. They got him back in the building. So I think it's already been salvaged, in my opinion.
Okay, I'll tell you what else is being salvaged. Me and my relationship with Vince Carter went from like, hey, kind of work together at ESPN to friends. So thank you, Nick. It's probably too much, but I'll take it. I like it. Like, hey, it's me, Wild. Like, yeah, I think I remember you, but now we're friends. Sure. Hey, Vince, see you soon. We're friends now. Okay, real quick. I politely reject all of this, all of it. I don't care about the practice. I don't care about putting his hand in. I don't think it was actually his phone, and I don't care. He did all of his warm-ups in sweatpants anyways, wearing sweatpants now. And that practice looked pretty weak as it is. And I think it was a different 76ers jersey, although I would like him to show support for their struggling football team, Antoine. Here's the thing I'll push back on Nick. I don't think he's going to get out there and lollygag around. I think the biggest issue is going to be those home games with those Sixers fans. You need to play 100%, or you're going to end up playing even worse than you did in the playoffs. You have to go full steam ahead. And Broussard, we're like, wonder if the mental block is still there. For the 1,000,000th time, this is why he should have played in the Olympics. He didn't play in the Olympics, even though Tybalt played in the Olympics, even though all the guys were like, come play with us, we'll be a supporting environment. He's like, no, I'll work on my game. So what do we see? Some sweaty sweatpants. That's it. So it better be gone, because we heard the whole time that he's going to work on his game instead of playing the Olympics like everybody else did to get better. So he's got to go to Philly, play hard, and I do think it's salvageable, since he was like, don't fly out in the private jet, and all of a sudden he's there, granted, in sweatpants.
Well, look, I'll say this, and I want to throw this to Twan. What I saw in this, granted, it's a small little portion of the practice that we saw, but his attitude, his indifference, that can be a problem. Twan, correct me if I'm wrong. In the locker room, It's your second best player. It's not a role player. Your second best player being completely indifferent, completely disengaged as far as his attitude, that's going to be a problem that could drag that locker room down. Twan, do you agree with that from your experience in the league?
Oh, without question. One thing about this, especially in Ben's situation playing in Philly, you want your teammates supporting you. Because right now he's not going to have the fan support early on. He's going to have to play exceptionally well to get the fans back behind him. And he's going to need his teammates to support him till he get through that time. We just saw him did not want to come back to Philly because he couldn't take criticism from Doc Rivers and different guys once the season was over. So it's going to be tough for Ben not to be able to engage with his teammates and have their support. And also, Chris, let's all be realistic, too. Ben Simmons is back because he saw how much money he was going to miss. This is not salvageable.
Right.
He saw how much money he was going to miss. That's really the reason why he got in that locker room.